Hey everybody, welcome to the 26th episode of World Building with DMDave. If you've been following along, I have been slowly creating the land of Labreka, which is where my campaign's set with the Dice and Megadel, so it's been pretty fun. We've got a lot of the things that I created randomly using tables set, and then I ended up adding a little bit more. We've created some interesting locations, some fun villages, some monster layers. It's been a lot of fun. This time I want to start saving our maps because I didn't save last time. Please make sure you save first. But we're going to go ahead and save this. And we're going to call this Labreka, and that is going to be our main site for the two campaigns that I'm running in this area so far. Currently I got my St. John crew who is just reached level 2, and they're going to be going into that Grimlock cavern, which was the first thing that I made. And now I've got another crew coming in on Saturday that might actually end up being the opposition of the first crew, which is going to be pretty cool. The whole background of the world that I ended up randomly coming up with was that magic is slowly being outlawed, and there's a bit of an inquisition going on with it. So if you're caught casting magic, you can end up getting burned at the stake. And I've tied in a little bit of like Russian Revolution type stuff in there too. It's mainly because the magic users were seen as bourgeoisie, and the peasants more or less revolted against them. So that's kind of the story that we're building, and that's what I'm going with. Alright, so here I've got my first real map of Labreka. This has all the major locations on it, so I'm actually gonna export a copy of this one. I'm not going to do the HD export because the standard definition is probably more than enough. That's 20 by 48, which ends up coming out to roughly like around 70 or so. That's about what I want. I'd like a little bit more, but in my experience, it can be really slow sometimes. For Inkarnate, I think it took me like an hour to save super high def mode last time. Okay, now that I've got that done, I actually want to go and start removing things I don't want people to know about. I'm going to keep all the towns and stuff there, things that you would find on a map. But let me take out this. Actually, before I do that, let's save a clone. So that way, I don't want to like accidentally save on our finished version of Labreka. So we're going to go to this. We're going to save as a clone, and we're going to call it Labreka No or Hidden Labreka with Secrets. There we go. That's what we'll call it. Okay. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm going to create my DM's map version of it, which is going to be sans, like, I'm going to take off the temple, I'm going to take off, like, that portal area, I'm going to take off this little guy here. Okay, so there's one thing I want off. Let's take this old temple in the forest out. We'll take out the old creepy wizard tower. And we'll take out the portal. And keep in mind too, there might always end up being some other stuff that we end up adding to it. Now we've got sort of the map player friendly version of it. Let's go ahead and save. Always save. Don't do like I did the last couple videos where I was creating stuff without saving. It's a bad habit. And once I'm done saving, I'm going to go ahead and export our version without the labels. Alright, so let's go ahead and export that. Alright, and that'll create our second version of Labreka. Okay. Next, I'm going to take our first version of Labreka here, and I'm going to go ahead and open this up in Photoshop and create a new file. And I'm going to create two different versions. So here's my 2048 by 2048. Okay, so this is our finished version. Zoom in, you can see it's looking pretty nice and neat. Oh, you know what? I don't want the hexes there. Alright, so let's go back. And the reason I don't want the hexes, I'll leave the hexes in because, like, if I ever put it in a book or something, I can't put the Megadel stuff in the book, but I could put the rest of it in because it is my creation, and Inkarnate gives you commercial license. Let's take out our hexes, so we'll hide the grid. And then I'm going to export again. This is Labreca without, this is the player's version of Labreca. And I'm going to go back into, oh yeah, I'm going to save this. Then I'm going to go back into the other version of Labreca that we made and take off the grid in that and save it as well. Alright, so we're going to go back out, turn to our maps, and we should have both our copies of Labreca. So there's with the secrets. Without, let's go ahead and edit the original. Just take a second to load. Alright, so same as before, we're going to go into our grid. We're going to hide our grid. And I'm going to export this. Alright, so let's go back to the beginning here. I've got now my copy without the grid. I'm just going to paste it right into over top of the other layer there. You can see this is our version with the secrets hidden. Let's start labeling stuff up. Alright, so we know St. John. I think, let's make sure it's easy enough to read. Yeah, it probably needs to be a little bit bigger. Let's go up to 72. Alright, so there's St. John. That's our, maybe that's a little too big. Alright, middle ground. That's all graphic design is. It's just doing shit 5 or 6 times. Alright, so there's St. John. Let's see, Brimsey, Megadelve. Or Brimsey Rise. Megadelve is a secret. Actually, let's get open our version of Labreca with all the stuff on it, and then we'll pull off the labels after the fact. So I'm going to paste this in between the ones we just did. You can see it's got the ruins there. We've got all of our stuffs. Got all of our stuff. This is the Axe River, so we'll go ahead and give it that name. We'll rotate that a little bit, make it look nifty. Very valuable skill to have in any sort of content creation is Photoshop. I've been using Photoshop since the 90s, so you'll see that I go through it pretty quick on a lot of stuff. If my recommendation to you is really learn how to use it. Now, granted, there are some more user-friendly stuff that's come out since, but still, pretty helpful. Okay. You know, we had a pretty dense forest around St. John, didn't we? Ah, dang. Alright, maybe I'll go back and add that in, because remember we had the Tronenwald. So if you don't remember what I'm talking about, Tronenwald is this dense forest up here, so we probably need to put that in. So I'll probably bring down some of these trees after the fact, and let's just do that now, since I'm in here. Go back to our stamp tool, and we'll grab some trees, put it back down to, I think we had it at 35%, and we'll bring up our area tool, density down just a touch, and we'll just draw it around there. There we go. Alright, there's a Tronenwald as it's moving in to the west there. And change it up a little bit, make it look a little bit less staticky. Okay, cool. Let's export this. Now, remember, we're probably going to have to create another version of Labreca minus the stuff because I ended up editing some major features. But like I said, it's sometimes you're going to go back and do things 100 times, even if you don't want to. Alright, cool. There we go. Let's export this. And we're going to plug this back in real fast. Alright, cool. So there's a little bit more of the Tron involved. Let's see. Tron involved. Make it big enough so we can read it. I'll go to 72 on that because it's kind of a major feature. And we got the A with the umlaut, which... Whoops. Let's see, what's the best way for me to get A with umlaut? Usually if you hold down a key, it'll do it for you automatically, but in this situation, I was not so lucky. That's what I get for using Germanic names on stuff. I remember our road name is that too, so we're gonna have to remember that's the trailatier, so to speak. Okay, so we got our locations that we know that we've named. I've got a Duchess who lives here, so that'll be her area there. I think Montkins is the name I gave, though I'm not crazy about that. Let's actually get a cool Germanic name, German name generator. Let's see what we can call her. We'll get female names, Bianca Scheibel. I think that's pretty cool. And we'll call it the Geyer Scheibel. Geyer is... No, Geyer's a word for vulture. Schloss Scheibel. Schloss means, and I spelled it wrong, but Schloss means castle in German. So I'm really, even though, you know, it's a fantasy world, I really want to drive the idea that it's kind of a Germanic setting down, and that's fine. You know, you can go do stuff like that. It happens all the time. Like, for example, loxodons. That's just the, loxodonta is just the Latin word for elephants. And yeah, I mean, this really helps. You'll see this a lot in Ravenloft too. Like, they'll have names that have kind of Germanic sounding names if it's kind of a German related place. Or the same if you saw like Egyptian, you know, there'd be someone named Ramses or something like that. So Schloss Scheibel is going to be our castle. Let me make sure I spelled that right. Schloss in English. Also, the word Berg means castle too, so fun fact. Yeah, Schloss, formerly written as Schloss with the that nifty little S sound, but yeah, is a German term for a building similar to a chateau, palace, or manor house. Cool. So Schloss Scheibel, and then the village of Scheibel, and all on the Axe River. We've got the Tron involved. Let's come up with a name for our mountain range. Again, Google search will take you straight to the fantasy name generator that you want. Let's see. You know, let's do more German words. I'm all for the German words. German to English. Let's just double down on it. So let's put in a cool word. We'll take that German. We'll take the mountain name generator and just translate whichever one sounds cool. The Laughing Pinnacle. Okay, so Laughing Mountains. Okay, Lachindeberg. Cool. Lachindeberg. Alright. Sounds cool. We'll capitalize our L. And just so I don't sound like a total idiot, because I don't speak German, and I have someone who speaks German who works for me. Berge. Berge. Okay. And cool. So we got Lachindeberg. We'll make that 72 to match our... So there's the Laughing Mountains. Let's give our big bay area a name. So bay name generator. This is all I do. Nothing fancy here. The Arctic Ocean. Wow. So amazing. The soundless abyss. You know what? German word. What is the German word for abyss? German word for abyss. Abgrund. Cool. Der Abgrund. Alright, so that'll be... I call it that because I like to think it just drops off right there. That's why I went with that dark. Kind of didn't plan on it, but that's how it worked out. Alright, cool. So far we have labeled up some of our major features. If you remember when we started off, we had we exported things from Inkarnate. We got our... This is sort of the DM's versions here that I am giving names to. We've got Schloss Scheibel, Brimsey Rise, Lakanda Berge, Tranenwald, and the Axe River and Der Abgrund. Probably butchering these, and Laura will be sure to tell me, I'm sure, when she hears this. But I think this is some pretty cool stuff so far. In our next episode, I'm going to go forth and label a little bit more, and in between episodes too, I'm going to create another player-friendly version where I take out some of the details. I can't use the one that I had because I ended up editing a forest there, so I'm going to have to kind of go back and do that. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode to kind of see my process of how I create worlds, and we'll see you again while we continue to work on La Brecca.